Wonderful.
Tony and Rick gone?
They
Yeah.
went to Florida. If the Cubans don't take over, they might come back.
You know, are you shopping done
Shopping.
at Walmart?
Yeah, I was checking out.
Did you forget? You seem to shop this.
I did I have a budget?
I don't think you did.
See, I see, I'm not shopping, I can carry out everything I got in my hands.
I had two buggies. Had to have them. And then with my stuff in there.
Listen, you know how you save money when you go there? You don't get a budget.
I don't know.
Cheaper.
Huh?
It's cheaper if you don't get a budget.
I don't know, it's everything's high.
Yeah, you basically carry $70 out in 2 bags.
Yeah, but you know how much it costs if you fill in the budget?
I spent 300.
I'm good, how are you?
When you when did you spend 300?
Walmart usually.
Oh,
For
yes.
Boys, Lois and Brothers.
I can't get out there unless it's 200.
Well, you all can go on your own.
Very seldom it's less than 2. Then I get home, there's nothing to eat. And Tide and Clorox, Clorox too, and toilet paper, paper towels, all that good stuff. Where's the cook boys at?
Come on now.
Huh?
Ain't never missed.
Uh-uh.
Them I do not know. Here's the coffee.
It's a percolator.
So what you're saying is Roger needs to make about 10 trips in Walmart, so that nobody he's enough to carry it back.
Yeah, then you'll just get tired of going in and you'll quit.
It wasn't my stuff.
I know that's the bad part, is it?
Yeah.
I can go there.
I got it, it's all right. I can't believe this is November the 1st.
Sure is.
Got your Christmas tree up?
No.
I'm not gonna be shocked to walk into Mom's and it be there. Like in the next 6 days.
Did she start that early?
Well, she's talking about it, so I'm just not gonna be shocked if I walk
Yeah,
in
don't be
there
shocked, yeah.
in the next 6 or 7 days and there'll be a Christmas tree up. She said it's too much to put it up if she ain't gonna get to look at it for a while.
That's right.
She didn't wanna put it up in 2 weeks to have to take it back down, so.
I left mine up. I left it up all of January one year.
All right, now. I got that, I got that, I
But now, once it's over with, I'm ready to take it down.
got that. Surely not.
Yes.
Well, that's probably the best. Interview.
I seen a, when I went to get my truck tonight, I seen a cross in the sky.
A what?
Cross. Took a picture of it. Ta-da.
Mhm.
See, Josh, can you see from here?
Mm-hmm.
I got a couple like that myself here in the house.
See, Jennifer?
Was you outside?
I was outside.
Just making sure. I've had a lot of people see things and they wasn't
Now,
outside.
now my house has got a roof on it where you, and I get rained on.
We gotta check a few things and notice.
I said I was going to my truck.
Okay, well, still,
I seen it.
still. I'm just assessing.
Oh, I know, you're.
The situation.
You're some.
All right, now. You're gonna teach tonight.
Ain't no way.
You sat there. Tell him, Brenda, he ain't gonna give us no excuses.
No excuses.
See, that's two right there. I've got two. Do we wanna take a vote? I heard a door thump outside.
Huh?
I heard something thump outside.
It might be the football.
It could be somebody looking at the sky like Brenda was, and they're still looking.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, it's about too dark now to look.
Now. Nope, it might have been a hallucination.
Okay,
I've had
you
those.
just-
I've had those before.
You just thought you heard something.
All right. Just giving us enough time so that it can load, so we can go. So.
Totally ready, ain't it?
Yeah, probably you need some coffee?
No.
It'll help you talk faster while you teach. Folgers in your
Thou
cup.
art the man.
Folgers in your
You-
cup.
That's your election in college, you.
How long did you teach at Michigan?
I did.
How long?
I tried to
How long?
2 times.
How long?
That was many, many years ago.
How long did you do it? Is what I want to answer for.
Year or two, I did.
Okay, plus how many? 2 plus how many? You want me to call Lois and ask her, so she'll tell me.
And she won't remember.
Well, she'll give me a number. And mail you a birthday card. Before it's your birthday. Sent 2 minutes ago. Okay. So, what did we go over last week?
I think we went over denied, didn't we?
Okay. What about it?
Self-denial.
Okay. Anything else you remember from last week? Roger's thinking. So tonight we're going to go in a direction. We're still in the wilderness, and since we're in the wilderness, there's always the point in time of some things that we deal with and go through. So the Lord was in the wilderness for how long?
40 days,
Okay.
40 nights,
Okay.
I think.
You think? Okay.
I said 400 years last.
Yeah, he was on years the other day. He was advancing it way out there.
He aged a lot.
Yes. So 40 days and 40 nights that the Lord was in the wilderness, and all the things that we've talked about. Anything else you can remember we've covered so far when we've talked about the Lord being in the wilderness? What else have we talked about the Lord while he was in the wilderness?
He was, tempted.
Huh?
He was tempted.
Tempted? What else? Anything else we've talked about while the Lord was in the wilderness? One word we talked about that everybody looked at me crazy because they hadn't seen or heard was about the word rapacity. We talked about that one night. And about deception, being deceived. We've talked about that one night. Then we went into talking about the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yeah.
When we were covering about what word? Do you remember what word that was about? The anachrono.
Yeah, I remember now.
Anachrono. That's the Hebrew word we studied the one night while we're in the wilderness. Then we started talking about some things about assurance and so forth that we've been dealing with, things that the Lord experienced in the wilderness that we experience now. So now we're going to break into a little bit of a different part of something that is on us while facing some things that we go through while in the wilderness. So I'm going to give you your word first so that you can have this word to focus on before we look into anything in the Bible. While Brenda's getting her crayons out.
Your glasses.
And you watercolors. Anybody's got watercolors? Might need it.
I
You're right.
forgot to bring them.
So our word tonight is the word courage. Our word tonight is the word courage. Meaning, courage in itself meaning bravery and the quality of mind which enables men to encounter danger and difficulties with firmness, or without fear or depression of spirits, valor, boldness, resolution. It is a constituent part of fortitude, but fortitude implies patience to bear continued suffering. Another part in layman's terms, the word courage, we see that it is strength in the face of pain or grief. Now, if I'm going to take the word courage as the example tonight, we're going to go to start with one of the easiest Bible stories that everybody at some point has heard from either a childhood up or at some point in church, whether it be Sunday school, Bible school, anything else, we talk about this word courage. So we're going to look first at some verses in 1 Samuel 17. This is our first thing we're going to look at tonight, is some verses in 1 Samuel 17. What is this part of the Bible story that we talk about in 1 Samuel 17?
That David before Goliath.
Okay? Common story that we've heard all of our lives, many years. We're going to look at a few things in this part tonight that we deal with and we face more than we may ever realize or recognize. So I'm going to jump through 1 Samuel 17, and I'm picking highlight parts of this story. But you go back and read it later to gather all the other parts so you can put everything together. But I'm going to start with verse 8. And it says, He stood and cried to the enemies of Israel and said unto them, Why are ye come out to set your battle in array? Am not I a Philistine, and ye servants to Saul? Choose you a man for you, and let him come down to me. And if he be able to fight with me and to kill me, then we will be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then shall ye be our servants and serve us. And the Philistine said, And I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. Here is the words being spoken by Goliath himself. If you back up in the first 8 verses of the 1 Samuel 17, it will tell you that his size. How tall was he?
About 8 foot something.
Okay, 9 foot tall. We'll just go with the easy measure of 9 foot. It also mentions in there about, I think it's 300 shekels of brass, somewhere in that part of the reading, 300 shekels of brass. That's a plate of about 150, 160 pounds. If we were to convert that to our weight measurement, that's a vest of about 150 to 160 pounds. A 9 foot person would be taller than the ceiling in here, because this is an 8 foot, right at 8, a little over 8 foot ceiling.
My
So
Bible says 9 feet 9 inches.
there you go. So he's over the height of this ceiling that we speak of in a room.
Pretty good size
One
man.
part, big, yeah. He won't be buying his clothes at JCPenney.
True.
Or
Okay.
Walmart.
Or probably not Walmart. So we get to the point of him saying that, why are you putting everything into array to fight me? But if you're going to, you go ahead and find somebody that can come up here and size me up equally and fight together. And then we look at the very thing, first sign of trouble is in verse 11. When it says, Saul and all Israel heard those words of the Philistine, and they were what?
Dismayed.
Dismayed.
Greatly.
And greatly afraid. Now, we don't know this by what we're studying right now at the moment, but we have to take into account a few things right here. Have you ever thought about the fact that there stood Saul and all Israel, as verse 11 says, and they get so afraid of how many people?
One.
One. Now just think about this for a minute. Now think about that. How many does it take to take down a 9-foot man?
Well, you didn't know what to do.
Huh?
More than one.
Good, but they should have been enough if all of Israel was there.
Yeah.
Saul and all Israel was there. Practically speaking, there should have been enough people to take down one 9-foot, 9-inch man because he was the only one there to fight. All the rest were behind, not fighting. We got one. That's it. That's the first case. And we jump on down. Let's jump on down to verse 22. David left his carriage in the hand of the keeper of the carriage and ran into the army and came and saluted his brethren. And as he talked with them, behold, there came up the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, out of the armies of the Philistines, and spake according to the same words, and David heard them. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him and were sore afraid. Here's your first quiz question. Why was David there to begin with?
Check on your brothers, wasn't it?
I can tell you that his brothers were not lactose intolerant. Because Jesse was who?
Your father.
And he sent David with 3 loaves of what? What did he send him with?
Some kind of food.
I guarantee it. It's before verse 22. Anybody find it? You tell me. Before verse 22.
Look it
What's
up.
it say? Huh?
Look it up.
Anybody know? Before verse 22, Jesse sent him down there to check on the brothers and take 3 what?
Jesus.
Cheeses.
Cheese.
So they wasn't lactose intolerant because here they're getting 3 loaves of cheese. That's the last thing I want to eat when I'm going to be fighting in the middle of a war or a battle of a 9-foot, 9-inch man is here. Eat these 3 loaves of cheese.
Josh,
Yes.
my Bible says 10 cheeses.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Cheese. We go into cheese for a moment. And then we keep going. And we get on through the fact that he is here in this spot. And we find that when he gets down there, they saw the man, Goliath, as we see in verse 24, fled from him and were what?
Afraid.
Sore afraid. Again, all these people are there. And they're all afraid of how many people? 1. Okay, let's keep going. 28. And Eliab his elder brother heard when he spake unto the men, and Eliab's anger was kindled against David, and he said, Why camest thou down hither? And with whom hast thou left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know thy pride and the naughtiness of thine heart, for thou art come down that thou mightst see the battle. And David said, What have I done, or what have I now done? Is there not a cause? And he turned from him toward another and spake after the same manner, and the people answered him again after the former manner. And when the words were heard which David spake, they rehearsed them before Saul, and he sent for them. And David said to Saul, Let no man's heart fail because of him. Thy servant will go and fight with this Philistine. We see so many times in life, a lot of things that we're dealing with is people running from such an isolated problem. A battle in array of all of Israel there, and sore afraid of one 9-foot man. Now, if you're going to be fighting him on your own, I get it. If they're going to say, okay, we're going to put the gear, we're going to give Sharon the gear, and we're setting her out there, and we're going to see what happens. Now, I get this if we're in this position, but we're speaking that all of them are sore afraid. Let's keep going. 33. And Saul said to David, Thou art not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. And David said unto Saul, Thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And when I went out after him, and smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth, and when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him, and slew him. Thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he hath defiled the armies of the living God. And David said, Moreover, the Lord hath delivered me out of the paw of the lion, and out of the paw of the bear. He will deliver me out of the hand of the Philistine. And Saul said unto David, Go, and the Lord be with thee. And Saul armed David his armor, and he put a helmet of brass upon his head. Also he armed him with a coat of mail. And David girded his sword upon his armor, and he essayed to go, for he had not proved it. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. And David put them off of him. And he took his staff in his hand, and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook, and put them in a shepherd's bag which he had, even in a scrip, and his sling was in his hand, and he drew near the Philistine. And the Philistine came on and drew near unto David, and the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth, and ruddy, and of a fair countenance. And the Philistine said unto David, Am I a dog, that thou comest to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, Come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the field. Then said David to the Philistines, Thou comest to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a shield, but I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. And this day will the Lord deliver thee into mine hand, and I will smite thee, and take thine head from thee, and I will give the carcass of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. And all this assembly shall know that the Lord saveth not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands. And it came to pass, when the Philistine arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hastened and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag, and took thence a stone, and slang it, and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine, and slew him. But there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran and stood upon the Philistine, and took his sword, and drew it out of the sheath thereof, and slew him, and cut off his head therewith. And when the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they did what?
Ran.
They fled away. This simple Bible story right here reminds us so easily of the courage of a person's heart when their faith is placed in what?
God.
Okay? Goliath taunts him and messes with him and laughs and says, this is a kid they've sent out here to fight with me, and this is nothing. This is a waste of my time that they're even doing this, like a mockery to me, like that I can't do something. But the thing is that David's faith was born out of experience. Let's start there. David's faith was born out of experience of his life up to the point of this age. And he tells us of what occurrences before Goliath that he done knew that Lord was capable of him doing. What was those experiences?
You know, the lion and the bear.
Okay. And what were those doing? What was he doing when those things happened?
He was watching sheep.
Watching the sheep. And the Lord had delivered him already out of these dangerous situations in the past, proving his trustworthiness. And so then David relied on him now to take out the 9'9" Philistines. So one thing we got to look at tonight with this word courage, and we'll look at this to start. If we know and believe that the God we serve is capable of defeating any of the giants in our lives, and this is your giants right here. Here's our list of giant examples. Fear, depression, money problems, doubting faith. All of these things is your giant in 2024. Now this is some things that people face, they're giants, in 2024. What do we do when we do not know what the future holds? That's the first question.
Worry.
Okay?
Make up 6,000
But we're not
scenarios
supposed to
in our
worry.
brain.
Yeah, you run through every possible scenario you can think of.
And most of them can't,
And-
probably wouldn't even possibly.
No, and then Brenda's over here worrying. What else?
Not supposed to.
What else? Here's our first problem. So we're talking in 2024. I'm going to give you the 2024 King James Version. of David and Goliath. Our first problem with that worry and fear and running the 6,000 possible scenarios through of what's going to happen,
Don't trust.
no, that ain't it.
No.
No. No. I don't have any problem trusting somebody that I know. Don't have any trouble. If I know you, I don't have a problem trusting you. But how many people trust in somebody that they don't know? How many people trust in somebody that they don't know? Now you think about that. In a lot of situations in 2024 and other times, but I'm using this as an example, trusting someone you don't know is a problem. And you think about this for a moment. Now think about how your brain really works. If you went, let's just make up a situation. You go to Walmart. So Jennifer and Roger's over spending all their money. Okay. And something happens. Now just think about this in reality. Something happens to you. Okay? And you medically are not able to talk or communicate. You're not medically able to communicate with someone. Something is wrong. Some medical emergency has happened to you in Walmart. Jennifer don't have a buggy and Roger's got one full. Okay? They're both in the store, two different situations here. But we're at Walmart and something's happened to you. And now you've lost the ability to speak or communicate. How much different do you trust somebody that says they're going to help you?
No, I watch a lot of Criminal Minds. I'd be serious with it.
Think about it. How much different would you? Okay, let's walk it further. Let's just skip a little further. And now you're at the hospital, and the doctor tells you whatever it is that's going on, and he says, "And we're going to give you some medicine to help resolve your problem." Do you trust him?
Almost have to.
You never met him.
You know?
You don't know him.
That's just like with my tumor they found.
Yeah.
I had to put my trust, I guess, but in the Lord more.
Right. But I'm just saying, let's make this real for a minute.
Yeah.
You're the patient. There's nobody else. You are the patient. You've had something happen at Walmart. You're now at the emergency room. The doctor's looking at you saying, "I'm going to give you some medicine to help you fix this problem." We've not discussed the side effects or the risks of giving you the medicine. Then comes in the paper for consent. And they go over with you that when they give this to you, it could kill you. You could die right here when we give it. If we don't give it, you're going to get worse and you're going to die. But if we do give it, you could die. So you now know that. And all the possibilities of giving the medicine to you is that you could live, but you may never talk, you may never walk, you may never function. But the doctor says, if you want a chance of living, we have to give you this medicine. Do you trust him?
You had to trust the doctors when Lois had to have that heart transplant.
Yeah.
You had no choice.
But how do you measure this stuff? That's what I'm asking, is that how do you measure that up? Do you want to see his record of how many successful procedures he's done? Do you want to see how many years he's worked doing this? Where he went to school and learned how to practice? What do you determine to decide that you're going to trust him?
At that time, we didn't have the time to check nothing.
Okay.
They come in there that morning and say, "We got a heart for you."
It's yes or no, right?
Yeah,
You either
yes
take it or you
That's
don't.
exactly what he asked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's the reality for us that we will trust somebody? Now, it's different for me than a lot of people because every day I am in the shoes of people that have never met me before, and they either have to believe what I'm saying or they don't.
Okay.
And it either is for their benefit or it's not. That's just the way it is. But how can they trust somebody that they don't know? So your environment and situation plays a lot in how much that you play with trust. We're going to use that word first, trust, in here. Because we're always put in, and I'm going to take you back to David in just a second. And I'm using that situation as an easy example. Because the problem right now in 2024 is with our courage issue is that all of our problems usually are coming without a warning. There's no warning. It just happens. And now it's here, and whatever it is, it's a problem. And we get to this point, and if we don't know enough about the Lord, we have a trust issue. How quickly will you try to take care of it on your own? Your own hands. Try to take care of the problem on your own, no matter what the problem is. Fear, depression, financial instability, all these things people deal with. How much are you going to try to take care of that on your own because of your lack of courage, because you don't know Him? David is saying in this part of the Bible, look, we've done took out the two top predators that I have to fight off to keep the sheep alive. The two top predators, bear and the lion, the worst of anything. And you know, it's kind of funny that they even laughed about it, because the fact that is a big animal. A bear and a lion could stand up probably and meet Goliath if it really wanted to, depending on how big. That's a big one. Probably weighed the same amount as he did, but faster. I mean, you think about this. And he's done took these two down. He's done seen the capabilities of what God could do to trust. And so tell me how that you trust the fact that you will get to heaven. How do you have trust that you're going to get to heaven? I mean, you can tell me that.
Cause He saved me,
Huh?
cause He saved me.
Okay, but tell me how that you've decided that's the only way. How did you decide? Roger's been saved 348 years from over at Red Oak.
How old?
348 years. I got to get you up here near Lois's age. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome. So, think about this. But how did you decide that that's the only way to get there? It was your choice.
That's what the Bible teaches.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So we have to
the
trust.
Book of Mormon teaches a lot of stuff
we have
too.
to trust the Word.
Okay. So now we're to trusting somebody that we've never seen, right?
Mhm.
You've never seen him, but you're trusting.
Yep.
You're trusting. So I take you to John 14:6. I pulled this because this is the easiest one to use for this common thing that we deal with tonight. Of he clearly states that he is, and as he quotes it in the Bible verse, I am what?
The way, the truth, and the life.
And then the best one you can find anybody with is he says, no man. That cuts it off right there.
No man.
You can trust that there's no other way to get there, because there is no man coming to the Father but by me. All through our battles with the giants in our lives, we have to hold on to some things we trust in. Do you not agree with that? If you don't believe and trust in some things, then you ain't going to be willing to have a whole lot of courage. And then we go through a couple. I'm just going to give you some quick, easy examples tonight. Joshua 1:9 is a good example about courage, where he says, be strong and of a what? Good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest. Now, one of the most well-known verses is this one right here on the screen when we talk about courage. And he prepares Joshua to lead the Israelites into the promised land. Now, think about this. The Israelites has made it all the way up to the point of going into the promised land. And then he's telling them near the end of the journey of getting to the promised land of be strong and of a good courage. Be not afraid, be neither thou dismayed. All the way through, we got to have some trust reminders through life that we still hold on and we still believe and we still do and live. And we see this all even in the same thing of Deuteronomy 31:6. Be strong and of a what? Good courage again. Fear not again, nor be afraid of them, for the Lord thy God, he it is that doth go with thee. He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. Do you know, to most people, this is just words. Right now, even in this room, this right here can be a noise to someone in the room. that just comes to, if you just came to class for nothing but something to do, this can be words and noise. Until you need him. And when you need him, now we're behind the 8 ball, because now there's no fight for what you get. And I'm going to go into more of that here in just a moment with some things. All right? Tell me how many have seen this verse commonly mentioned. When that things feel uncomfortable or intimidating, we have to trust in our options. We have to trust in what decisions we're going to go with. And we see all the time in life people panicking because of fear. And fear causes us to make quick, irrational decisions. And sometimes they're stupid. You're right. Sometimes they're not right at all. But we do it. Because who do we trust the most?
Ourselves.
Ourselves. That's funny, because the Bible says that the heart's the most deceitful thing that you've got. And what will you follow first? What's the first thing you'll follow?
Your heart.
Right here every time. Because I know best. I know what's best for me. I know what's right for me. I know whatever's the best right way to go for me. I know me better than anybody else. Do you? What's the real answer to that?
No.
No. The heart's deceitful above all things. What did we say in class one night recently about the fact of deceit? And it said about the fact that deceit is so powerful that it becomes the fact that you don't even know whether you're being deceived or you're deceiving yourself. That's how powerful that becomes in just a moment. All right, here's another one in Psalms. We get some more things when we're talking about courage. Courage. Time of fear. Time of fear. Some courage. All right? Here's another one in Psalms 31. You notice the wording in some of these are the same. What's the first words of this verse?
Be a good courage.
Good courage. All right, so what's layman's terms for your definition of the word courage? We've done looked at it. What's your layman's terms definition of the word courage?
Bravery.
Okay?
Bravery in a time of danger.
Okay? And the last line of that one, I'm going to read it just so I quote it like it said. Strength in the face of pain or grief. And then here we go. Without fear. Without fear. We look at what we look for in everything in our lives, but fear is the number one instigator of our problem. And then we see good cheer marked. You notice that he says to be of good cheer. You hear that in other parts of the Bible. In Mark chapter 6, I think, somewhere in Mark chapter 6, I think it mentions that he tells them when they see him walking out on the water coming to him in the boat, he says to be of good cheer. Is that what he says? Do not be afraid. That's what he said. And the winds and the waters did what?
Ceased.
They ceased. All right. And then we go through that. If you take the word courage, and I looked this one up in good cheer in the Greek word translation, boldness and confidence is the opposite of all fear. To have courage, trusting in the Lord in whatever you face, is to be the opposite of fear. God commanded them, now think about this for a minute. God commanded them, he said, fear not. Now, if God commands you to fear not and you do it, what have you done? Sinned. You think about that. If God says, don't you be afraid, fear not. He said that to him in the boat. He said it in another place. Anybody remember where it's at? That he told him to fear not. But he's commanded it. It says in the recording of Mark 6, when I read it, he commanded them to fear not. How many wouldn't get out of the boat? 11. We got 11 spectators. That's what I don't want to be, is a spectator still standing in the boat. And we look at all of the things to be of good cheer, commanding against fear, which is not what we want to deal with. And what is okay, let's look at some reality. Y'all can be open in this part tonight of reality. But what is some of your fears in today's world? Mm-hmm. Every day. Any other things that people fear? You either see people fear or you fear yourself.
Not being accepted.
Okay? That's a big one. What else? Any other fears that people are facing in today's world? One of the things, it doesn't come naturally. Courage does not come naturally. Fear does. Fear comes naturally. Courage does not come naturally. You have to fight for it. And every day you're confronted with fear. Now think about that. No matter what, every day you're confronted with fears. Something that you choose whether you fear it or not. And there's courage to be shown all over the Bible. And I just pulled some references. I'll give you some examples. Jacob, while facing a brother who vowed to kill him, his own brother said, I'll kill him. In Genesis chapter 32 and 33. Jacob showed his courage. Joseph displayed courage while enduring imprisonment for a false charge that he didn't even do. In Genesis 39 and 40. Then, all the way through, we get to Genesis 41 where Pharaoh wanted him to interpret his dreams. He had to do that in courage, not in fear. So, what fuels your courage? What pours the gas to the fire tonight of your courage?
Confidence in God.
Okay. There's a word we're looking for.
Faith.
Okay, there we go. Sharon's got it. Roger gave you the definition of it. Courage is an act of faith. The more you believe, the more you're willing to act. Your courage is showing how much you really believe in what the Lord promises. Because if you know that the Lord has taught you right, and you know it is the right way, you're going to act on it no matter what danger or threat you're faced with. Now you think about that for just a moment. No matter what you're faced with, if you know and trust that what the Lord has told you is right, and you believe that, you will act upon your courage to do so. Paul wrote in 2 Corinthians 5, a very common verse we've used before, that we are always, what? Confident. Knowing that while we are at home in the body, we are absent in the Lord. Because why? We walk by faith. Faith is what gets you to act. That's what puts the motion. The act of faith is courage in itself tonight. And you think about some things, because I'm going to give you some real life hardness in just a moment. 2 Corinthians 4, for which cause we faint not, but though our outward man perish, the inward man is renewed day by day. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. What does Paul say fuels good courage? Out of these verses, if you just took these two verses, what does Paul say fuels good courage? What do you think? You got quiet. Don't make it harder than it is.
Our afflictions.
Okay? Now think about it. The question is what does Paul say fuels good courage?
Their faith, probably.
What was our verses we just read a minute ago where God said, be of good courage and don't be afraid? And why?
I am with you.
I am with thee always. What else did he say? I will go with thee always. What's some other examples where he says, be of good courage? Mary is an example that the angels came to her. Okay. Angels came to her. Out of fear, what? What's the story tell us? Angel came to her and told her she's going to have a baby. And then it says, what did the angel say to her? Fear not. And what?
I am with thee.
Yeah, but what does it say in that part of the Christmas story? You always hear this word, be of
Good cheer.
Yeah, there we're back to. Be of good cheer. But why? What is it about these two verses that Paul says fuels good courage. There's a promise of something in these two verses. And I cut off all the rest ones to make it harder. That's just fun for you. So, think about this for a moment. Let's just think about this for a moment. Fueling good courage. What are you promised?
Home in heaven.
Thank you. If you have a massive stroke on me right now, and it's irreparable, it is completely non-treatable, and you can't talk to me anymore, you can't do anything, you can't write, talk, speak, nothing, you're done. Who you gonna trust?
God.
It ain't over. You're still alive. But you know, no matter what happens, you're promised one thing. And what is it?
Eternal life in heaven.
You're going. You're going. Because the final resurrection is mentioned in all parts of the Bible that we see. Also, this by faith, we walk by faith and not by, gives you the courage to face the fear-inducing wasting away, as we see, of our bodies or afflictions that we experience in the world. All of it fueled by faith in ultimate reality of what God's promising us. We are to be encouraged because of this, encouraged. I'm going to give you a few quick examples. By God's promises to forgive how many of our sins?
All
of them. Never forsake us, to cause light to dawn in our darkness. Provide, Philippians 4:19, what is that about our needs?
supply all you need according to his riches and glory.
Provide, in 1 Corinthians 10, he says that he would make a certain way during your temptation and your
Way of
trials.
escape.
A way of escape. And then he says that all things work together for good. So no matter if it's good or bad in your life right now, if I'm using Roger as an example because it don't bother him, but if he had a massive stroke right now and couldn't talk to me, all things work together for the good.
He's a winner either way.
Thank you. Now you're picking up on the courage. These things that I know and believe in is where my trust is, to have the courage. To have the courage. Daniel didn't walk up as a bratty little 14-year-old and ready to whip some hind end. I probably felt like it if I was 14-year-old and I'd done fought a bear in a lion. But the reality was he wasn't worried about the fact that he had done that. He knew that God did it. He knew twice before number 3, third time's a charm, but twice before number 3, he knew that God let him by the paw or it killed the lion and the bear. So by this point, he's trusting in him, and we're going in it. If he's going to defy the Lord, we're going in there. All right, let's see what else we see. Okay, Romans 16. So we talk about being something of those that are against us. So you are not a, I'm trying to remember what the verse says, and I've lost it because it just left my mind. We are more than conquerors, thank you, because you have overcome. That is one, there we go. To make us alive though we die. John in chapter 11, he starts talking about us even though we die, we are living all the day long. Does he not? Okay. What about in Revelation 21:4? That one just popped in my head. There'll be no more what? He says in Revelation 21:4 there'll be
No
what?
more light.
I don't know.
Sorrow.
Huh?
Is it sorrow?
I don't know. You tell me. Revelation 21:4. I'm poking your brain hair for a moment. Sharon's over frying circuits right now thinking about this. Revelation 21:4. What's that say?
And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away.
Yes. So I'm pulled back. Let me go back to my. Give me just 1 second. I'm gonna pull this back up that I've got here. Yeah. So we're talking about courage. So fullness and joy in the presence, and all these other promises of biblical courage resulting directly from taking hold. Here's the big one for you: is taking hold of these promises. If you find anywhere in the Bible where he says, "Be of good cheer" or "Be of courage," you have to take it. In order to believe anything, you have to take hold of the promises yourself. Because here's where reality hits, and I'm going to go back to this message because I sent this out to several this past week. So before Chris's incidental brain bleed on Sunday morning, the last time that he was fully mentally aware of what was going on was the Friday before the Sunday of surgery. And I was talking to him back and forth about whatever random, and he messaged something asking me something about the heart surgery side of it because the cardiologist had been in the room. But this message is what he sent. I'm going to read it to you. He says, "I'm hoping," that's the first two words, "but I know God can heal things and everything. I've got my faith in him. He is power and faith and everything. He has this." Afraid of what tomorrow holds, surgery or whatever occurs, he had determined by courage that he had seen enough in what he sees right here in front of him in his eyes and his life, that he believed that he had full faith believing that God could take care of it, that he's got it. Here's reality about courage tonight. That was scheduled for Monday, and he never made it. Sunday was the day of the problem that occurred. In our eyes. Our eyes was the day of a problem. But God's plan, it was already there. Courage was on Friday. Sunday came. And even today, and everything that we've seen out of him from Sunday to today, I've been up there, and everything that's evolved, if he could talk to us right now, he would say this exact same message. Exact same message. Now, I told Roger this, but I'll tell you all tonight in the room that he had 5 other family members there when I was up there Tuesday. And I told every one of them in that room firmly, because he has invited them here to church sometime to go with him, as well as he's offered to come up there and go with them sometime to visit. There's a church or two he's got family in. He's offered to go up there and visit with them. But I told every one of them in that room, and I told Roger this, I said, I told everyone in that room that every one of them need to run through their mind right now of the lame excuses that I've heard them give him of why they wasn't going. Or, "We will sometime." Or, we'll try to. And now put this in your mind, and this is what I told him. I said, he had no warning. He had no warning before this happened. And he still sat there and says, "I'm believing. He's got it. That's what we're going to do." But the family sitting there, all those excuses that they've gave over the last 4 or 5 years that I've been around, of reasons why they couldn't go, or not right now, or may go sometime later. And I told them everyone, I said, the problem in our lives is just like David. It's going to happen. Your fight with something is going to happen. And unfortunately, it always comes without you knowing when. And guess what? When it's here, it's too late. You can't turn it around. And the only people that's going to have the courage to trust him is the ones that know him. That's the only reason David, that's the whole point in my courage tonight on David, is that David was the only one that was going to go out there without all the armor, without all the gear that didn't fit, with the tools or whatever weapons he didn't even know how to use. You think about it, seriously. He didn't even know how to use. But he was the only one stepped forward and was willing to do it because of courage, only because he knew. He done knew what God could do because he done it before. When you get to dealing with courage tonight, and we have a lot of lack of courage. People don't step out a lot on courage. I think it's a lot of times not knowing as much about the Lord as we should. But then again, how much do you need to know about the Lord? If He's promised you to go to heaven and you know you're going, how much more do you really need in the flesh to have courage? You think about that. Salvation alone should be enough that you should not question courage from your faith. The reality of that is. But what do?
We do.
We do.
We do.
And why do we do that? What's causing us to have this fear
Doubt,
all day long? And who puts it there?
devil,
And
ourselves.
ourselves. The election time right now has got people going nuts. They're going crazy. I mean, they literally are. But you won't believe how many people are watching news and everything else, and that's the truth. If the news said it, that's the truth.
Some of it.
You don't know. I mean, that's why they act. You know, if
99%'s not.
no, but if Larry King Live said it, it's the truth.
No.
You know, that's what I'm saying. You got to look at this reality of we are being driven away from courage, all because of ourselves allowing it into us, the fear and the doubt. Only one out of all the army was Saul that wasn't even supposed to be there, and he was back to carrying the cheese. The delivery guy, the DoorDasher. The DoorDasher shows up and he takes out the giant while the whole army can't take over one 9'9" man. And the young boy shows up delivering cheese and says, I got it. I'm not the one, this ain't my fight anyway, but I got it. Let's go whip some butt because it's time to go take him out. All of y'all stood here and fussed about it and argued, scared to death to do it. I've done got the lion and the bear. Let's go. I've got it. Puts the gear on, takes the gear off, and he goes to the water, and he gets out what?
5 smooth stones.
Yes.
5.
Yes. I preached on this once, and the very thing I preached on was the power behind a rock. The power behind the stone. Same as the resurrection in the tomb. The power behind that stone.
Why did he get 5?
Huh?
Why did he pick up 5?
You tell me. I ain't looked into it. You
I
tell
think
me.
Goliath had 4 brothers.
Okay.
What?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Like Sass.
I don't know. I ain't never looked into it. But he picked up 5 smooth stones, put it in his script.
But just
Anyway,
needed one.
Just needed one.
Just needed
Even
one.
one.
Yeah. There, to me, if I was going to say anything, I don't know what the reason was behind it, but it's human to always have a backup plan. Your humanistic nature is to always have a backup
Just in case
plan.
I need a few more.
Huh?
Just in case I need a few more, I'll pick up 5.
I've got 5. You might drop one on the way.
Yeah, sure.
You might have a hole in your bag. I mean, it's true. It's human.
Yeah.
It's human. But if you really are going to have the courage to go because of your faith in God, how many should you pick up? One. But we're driven in the wilderness now. We're going back to the wilderness for a moment. We went through deceit, hope, assurance, all these things the Lord endured in 40 days. And somewhere in this, you think about the same thing of the courage. In your wilderness, you have to have courage to keep going on because it's going to get worse. We know this. We've seen it. It's going to get worse. We're promised this. There's got to be some things that overtakes your fear at some point to keep you from giving in to what the world wants you to do. But courage, we sometimes mismeasure that, I believe, a lot of times in our lives, that courage is not fully what we go by. Because it's hard to do things from something you've never seen. It's hard to believe in something you've never seen. This is the humanistic mind that I know me better than anybody. That's your number 2. You're number 2 on the list of who knows you the best. But when you come down to the line, courage comes from all your previous experience of knowing Him. If you don't know Him, you will not trust Him. And I just sat in the hospital for at Louisville, and I was looking all the way up top of that building at one point, and I just wondered, out of all the people in that building, there's 4 blocks of buildings there of that hospital, but in that one building, I just wondered how many laid in their bed and didn't know anything about the Lord to even know that they trusted Him. And people put faith in man a lot, and you, in some ways, as heart transplant, brain tumor, you've got to trust them. You've got to have confidence in their ability and what they can do. I've seen that in the last 10 days. I get that. But if you don't know where that ability comes from, that makes the final call. And I'll just be honest with you, in the last 10 days, there was a doctor that came into Chris's room while he was on the ventilator that if what he said the family would have acted to, they'd have been making his obituary. They would have went to the funeral home the next day and made his obituary from what the doctor told them. And all I told them is that it's too soon to tell. You can't tell that information yet. He's not out of surgery long enough for them to say things like that. And I made it very clear to them that what his words was before he went into that surgery was the very thing he sent me Friday evening. That he said, I'm going in. I'm hoping God's got this. He's still here. What else do you need?
And my doctor said those tumors don't go nowhere.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. You think about that for a moment.
And God removed it.
Mm-hmm.
Trust an unknown future to an all-knowing God.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But you put yourself in some of these people's situation and you're laying there. Just think about that. You're laying there and you can't respond. You can't talk to nobody. You can't communicate.
You sort of have to trust them.
And you do.
Yeah.
You do. But now, the courage is a big one. Courage is a big one. And sometimes we're just too afraid to try or step out and go. But David had had enough previous times that he done been there. He done tried it. He done walked through it. But he said, I'll do it. Let's go. I don't know if his legs were shaking while he stood up there looking at him. I can't tell you that. It ain't recorded. It may have happened. But all he knew is what he'd seen before. And he believed it. And he went with it. Anybody else got anything tonight?
He probably said a prayer before he went out there.
He probably still praying on the rock throw.
I think he was praying when he was picking them up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anybody else got anything?
It's a good lesson.
Roger's got quiet now. Brandon's quiet over here. Look how quiet Brandon is.
Yeah, you think I'm quiet? He didn't say nothing.
He might be absorbing it like a sponge.
He's a man of many words.
Huh? Man, a few words.
I said he's a man of many words.
Oh, many words. Anything else tonight?